much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm great, Paula. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. So as you know, WonderBotz has been helping clients evangelize hyperautomation for a long time. And part of that charge has been us being able to tell stories from our clients and folks that have sat in the same shoes that have to make the decisions on what to do with this thing called RPA and the adjacent technologies that go with it. So I wanted you to start off by giving us a little bit of background of what you do at Billtrust, what your role is, and how automation applies to it.
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager of our Business Payments Network. So it's a group of our company that focuses on bridging the gap between accounts payable and accounts receivable. So we build technology that basically allows what we call trading partners or buyers and suppliers to more easily interact and transact through our network. And it's something that we've been building over the last 5 years or so in partnership with world-class organizations like Visa. So on a day-to-day basis, we're looking at opportunities to scale our technology, our customer success, as well as our general R&D and operational capacity.
Fantastic. And so about 5 years ago, you guys decided to add UiPath to your tech stack. And tell me a little bit about how that went into the decision-making to accelerate the products that you were offering to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So our use case was originally centered around email correspondence, believe it or not. So what is really unique and sometimes unknown about B2B in terms of the trading partners who are exchanging invoices or payments or orders is that the majority of this correspondence goes by email. So many of our customers came to us saying, hey, their buyers were using these large-scale payables platforms, sending them emailed orders, emailed invoices, emailed remittances, and they wanted help. So we were excited about the opportunity to add value to these customer operations in the accounts receivable space, and we were determined to find a solution that could help us ingest and automate the extraction of data from emails. This could be body of email, attachments, web portals. And we looked at a whole slew of options, and RPA really came out as kind of the predominant technology and tooling that could allow us to automate a process which was typically very kind of labor intensive from a manual processing perspective.
And so when you made the decision that RPA was the right technology to start with, what is something that you'd advise? Because we have a lot of clients that say, yeah, we're going to start with RPA. This is sort of the tip of the spear as it relates to automation, and then later hyper-automation and all the different technologies that go into it. But when RPA is chosen, what would be advice that you give somebody? Once you know you're going to go down that road, what is it that you'd say to somebody?
Well, I look at RPA as almost any kind of tool, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life. Depending on how approachable that tool or technology is, you may have a certain level of confidence to go it alone. But in our case, we knew that we had a very aggressive timeline to launch and incorporate RPA into our process. It was a newer technology to our shop, and so really, like I've been doing more in my home life, which is maybe avoiding the DIY approach when possible. Don't go it alone. Use a professional, at least be guided by a professional in your kind of early endeavors, especially as you're getting familiar with the technology, as you're looking to gain momentum, which is so critical when using something new. You want to see the result early on to give you the kind of conviction to carry forward and continue to invest. And by partnering with WonderBotz, especially in the early days, it allowed us to achieve our timelines, but really get that expertise that helped us achieve our goals, but get our people, our initial team here at Billtrust that was focused on RPA, the training, the skills, the perspectives they needed to have to kind of work with you all on building that foundational kind of set of automation.
Absolutely. And as you probably learned along the way too, the skill sets required as a program mature change, right? And so having somebody, by your side at every turn to sort of navigate those things, those pitfalls that you don't know until you know, certainly gives a lot of people peace of mind. So definitely great advice there. So tell us a little bit about, because again, one of the unique things that I think is so fantastic is that you guys have started your RPA journey on the front of the house. And truly as a product offering for your clients and to maximize revenue, period. It's not about cost savings, it's not a back office play, which is unusual, right? It's unique to you to start there, and I know you guys have grand plans to move across the organization, but tell us a little bit about how that works, as it relates to you managing your center of excellence and thinking through how to scale it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it is unique to your point that we are using RPA as a way of growing our offering, right? When it comes to any technology, whether we're using traditional coding languages, building applications, APIs, we really look at RPA as just part of the stack, that's required. So the space that we operate within, the financial technology arena, between trading partners and B2B, so much of, like I was talking about before, the interaction between these buyers and suppliers is ripe for RPA. APIs, we love to use APIs when available, but this is not the way the majority of the world works. There's still so many financial systems out there that corporates use, that banks use, that are interface driven, or use emails to message between systems or different parties. And the reality is, as much as we want to drive API adoption or utilization among those different parties, like RPA allows us to achieve the automation that we need now in a very efficient, scalable fashion.
So when you're thinking through of how to add people to your team, how do you think that through? Because human capital, at the end of the day, no matter whether they're running robots or they're doing accounts payable, is the most expensive line item in an organization. And so, a digital workforce and RPA really can eliminate some of that. But you still need people to help run robots. So how do you manage that, since this is a product offering, going forward? And how do you think through the KPIs that you're trying to achieve, when making that investment to scale?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time to ask that question with the labor market being what it is, right? So at Billtrust, we're hiring, traditional application developers, front end, back end. Now we're hiring RPA engineers the last, 5 or 6 years. So I think one of the great things about RPA is that it is really approachable, even for engineering folks who are earlier in their career. So we've had a lot of success pulling in folks right out of college and getting them trained up either through partnerships like we have with WonderBotz, or some of the folks that become more experienced veteran RPA engineers in-house. So that's one of the fantastic things, because whether it's folks coming to college, folks looking to make a transition in their career, we're constantly looking at other departments in our organization. We've hired from our IT desktop support group, folks who have kind of fluency in technology but have applied it in this way, have translated and transformed their skills quite successfully. So I think we're looking at how to form the team based on lots of different experience levels or skill levels. Certainly, you asked about how it changes over time. As we've had a lot of our automation in place for years now, I would say that some use cases have become more sophisticated. So we are looking at skill sets, personnel that are able to do things like Python in addition to RPA. Looking at some of the other add-ons that UiPath has, or some of the other ancillary technologies, which requires a higher level of skill and experience. And so it's really a blend, and we're hiring kind of across the spectrum of experience. But again, the augmentation to a partner, where there's periods of time where we may have lots of adoption of customers, but new product offering, and we need to scale very quickly. And it could be scaling in terms of building new functionality with RPA. It could be maintaining a large kind of workforce of robots. It could be building other kind of tooling around RPA. So it depends on your use cases. Depends how long you've been at the game, so to speak. But that is one of the benefits of RPA, is that you're able to kind of take from different skill sets to support your goals.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And Nick, one of the things that a lot of our clients, or a lot of newbies come to us and ask is when it's time to renew, right? And it's time to renew the licenses, and they have to go to leadership and justify what it is that they've done. Now, I know you don't have that problem because you're generating revenue with your use of automation. But how is it that you keep track of what you've done and what you've given back to the organization, and or what your contribution has done to the revenue stream as it relates to those products?
Yeah, and I would say that there's always types of justification events, right? And it may not be renewal, it might be added, right? Like we're constantly looking at, okay, whether it's an existing use case or an offering has taken flight and there's so much utilization that we need to add a new set of robots or capacity, right? It might be that we want to launch a new offering, and for that reason we're going to need to hire more people, engineers, or we might need to bring on more licenses or storage capacity. So I think one of the great things is the tooling that we have, and we've kind of developed together, is there's so much tracking. You can see the activity, you can see the utilization. You're able to apply hardcore metrics as to time saved for our team, our customers, to really demonstrate the kind of objective value. So it's interesting, right? Because Billtrust as a whole, we're in market selling to the office of the CFO, talking about accounts receivable automation, right? And so our customers are constantly coming to us asking for those kind of ROI models to understand Billtrust holistically, how will you save us time, save us money, and RPA is a major part of that demonstrable case to say Billtrust is going to help you save time, because the human capital replacement or augmentation that you can get from RPA is kind of embedded within our service. So it's kind of those models are being applied internally and externally as we we go.
That's fantastic. And I think just by sheer default, you have to show that value to sell what it is that you're creating to sell, right? So that's a natural segue there. And when you guys think through, the next wave, is it by product or is it by the next technology that you're going to adopt to your stack?
I would say it's by product or use case, right? So we're on this journey to really digitize the order to cash process. So any way that a mid-sized to large-sized corporate or enterprise thinks about interacting and transacting with their business buyers, we want to make it as touchless as possible. So historically, it's really been focused on the invoicing side of the process, payment, reconciliation, automating the collections process. More recently, Billtrust has moved into the order space. We acquired a company by the name of Second Phase a couple of years ago, and they do that part of our business. That division does a phenomenal job of helping intake orders. And traditionally, orders will come into a supplier through over the phone, a web store, e-commerce site. But increasingly so, we're seeing orders come in from procurement systems that will send, not just EDI or not just CXML. They're going to send emails, PDF attachments. They're going to make you go into a portal to pull down a new order. Those portals are going to require you to kind of post confirmation that the order's been received, fulfilled, and will be delivered on a certain date. So those are the types of use cases that we identify and say, wow, okay, if there's a lack of API droppability or file-based standards, and it's emails or web interfaces, right for RPA, and we're going to look to apply the expertise that we've formed over the last few years and the tools that we have now to automate those use cases, not just based on waiting on the APIs to hopefully come one day. By using APIs, files, and RPA to deliver a 100% holistic solution for our corporate customers.
That's fantastic. And it's just remarkable to me that your roadmap is aligning with technology advancing. So it's your product roadmap is advancing just as quickly as the tools that enable you to create them. Right?
Yeah, and I will say there is a technology component to it too, because as we see more add-ons become available as tools like, traditionally there's been OCR, but there's been a lot of advancements in kind of parsing technology, character reading technology, and we consume that as it comes, right? Because if we can avoid the human intervention on our customer side or our support group because new tooling is available to overcome that handwritten scan or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Unstructured incoming data, right?
Yeah. We have the case. One of our favorite ones was a doctor's office that was literally paying a several $100,000 invoice for medical diagnostic equipment, and they were paying it to one of our main healthcare manufacturers, and they literally wrote a credit card on a paper, took a picture of it, and emailed them in. So not the recommended way to pay.
I'm sure that violated some kind of something.
That's where PCI comes in. So if you're struggling with PCI compliance, we'd love to talk to you and all the security things. But no, it's just that stuff exists out there.
Yes.
And I think it's for folks that do not operate in the B2B arena, especially the financial space, it comes as a surprise. But there's quite a bit of this, what we call chaotic volume.
Yeah.
And so you need flexible, adaptive tools to handle that.
Yes, and there is a lot of volume. So congratulations on the recently going public as well. Has that changed the way you guys have done business or changed the way that you've had to think through adopting technology? I know those milestones for organizations, folks in your shoes have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a very positive event for us in the sense that it's allowed us to be very flexible in terms of how we want to grow. So we've done a few acquisitions since being public. It's allowed us to invest aggressively in R&D. So, any type of event like that allows you to, become more aggressive, more ambitious with your growth plans. And certainly we've, over the last 12 months, have followed that plan in terms of growing. So.
And you've been able to pull some stuff forward that maybe would have had to be on the back burner a little bit longer?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of our acquisitions in Europe is allowing us to go more global and international. We're finding new use cases all the time that allow us to, again, pull forward plans and realize opportunities that we didn't see before the public event, before even some of these acquisitions.
That's fantastic. And so the last question I'll ask you, because this is one of the things that comes up a lot, is when folks are trying to decide what the next technology is. So I think in the space that you're talking about, OCR, IDP, right, being able to read digitally and transmit it to a robot, obvious natural next step. Are there any other tools that are out there in the hyperautomation suite that have piqued your interest? Is there any AI, ML? Are you guys applying any of those kind of things in your mindset for next steps?
Yeah, so we have been applying artificial intelligence and machine learning in various different ways in our business for a number of years now. So as it relates to like reconciliation, cash reconciliation. So looking at lists of bank deposits and trying to match up what those deposits actually are. Which customer's paying this, what are they paying for? Using past payment behavior to make more informed decisions automatically about future reconciliation needs. So yeah, to the extent that AI and machine learning become more available, we're looking at those tools to bake it into our core stack. It's interesting too because it's not just about new technologies, but I think also bringing in adjacent technologies, but making them more available through UiPath, like iPass, integrating through various different front ends or back end systems through iPass technologies. That's been around for a while, but making it more available, more germane to the existing tools we're using is super beneficial. It's just more efficient. We can realize the benefits a lot more quickly. So I think the consolidation, if you will, as well as introduction of new technology is we're very eager to see, and we have been seeing it. So it's a very positive event.
It's a really exciting time to be in this space, definitely.
No doubt.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. You're such a valued client. We appreciate your time, and I'm sure somebody's going to get a lot out of what you shared with us today.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation, Paula.
Thanks so much. Cheers.